Welcome back to the channel. It's Trey, and I am here. I'm doing it solo today because Dylan is at a birthday party and he's not going to be at home. So we're riding solo with me today. I hope you enjoy, and we're going to have so much fun. And yes, I am quite aware that I am late. I completely was watching something on YouTube myself, and then I looked at the time and I said, "Oh snap! It says 9:43, and it's time for me to do the live stream." Sup, Free Fire Comics? How's it going? Um, so here I am, a little late as usual, but I am here. I'm actually a fan of Jane Foster's run of Thor, so yeah. Congratulations, Cryptic. I think you want to try to get a reaction out of me. Um, I I don't think it was a good idea at the time, only because you could have put in another character over Jane Foster. She wasn't worthy enough for the hammer, if you ask me. A woman who abandons her husband and children when her ex-lover comes back. I'm kind of confused. How the hell does that make you worthy? Because you got cancer? Oh, okay, and you know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. And on top of that, they already tried that what if Jane Foster was Thor storyline years ago. And it should have stayed as a what if, not as an actual thing. And because to me, it disrespects Norse mythology by trying to take a human character and replace them for a Norse character. Yes, Norse mythology, Greek mythology, African mythology, all kinds of mythologies are open domain, but just because it's open domain, respect the history and lore of those characters enough not to do something stupid like, oh, Jane Foster's the new Thor. You do realize Thor is not a superhero name. You could have called her anything else. Matter of fact, Marvel's Avengers Assemble, that the last season of that terrible god awful show, they called her Thunderstrike. I'd rather you have called her that. I'd rather you have called her that than Thor, because that's not her name. That's not a superhero name. That's not a mantle you can pass on. That's like saying, oh, I stepped down from my channel, so Dylan takes over. Would you guys start calling Dylan Trey? No. So make it make sense. That's not Dylan's name. Dylan's name is Dylan, right? So for you to be like, oh, well, it's kind of like a mantle. No, this isn't Spider-Man. This isn't Batman. This isn't Flash. This is actually his name. This isn't a character you could just be like, oh, here, we're going to give the name Thor to this random bitch. For what reason? You get what I'm saying? The concept was sound, but it, it shouldn't have been her being Thor. And then the run is undermined by the fact that she didn't die. She died and literally came back the second issue after she died. So it defeated the purpose. And then they try to make her a Valkyrie. For what? You haven't proved anything. You were written in there to force into a storyline that you had no business being in. Like I said, there were other characters. There was the replacement of Thor back in the day. He could have been Eric Masterson. You could have easily did that. You could have did a redemption arc with Donna Blake if you really needed a Thor replacement, or you could have brought back Thor Girl if you really needed a female character so bad that you needed to, sideline Thor for a little bit. At least at least Thor Girl could have took that place because she already has her own hammer, so she wouldn't be lifting Mjolnir, and she can still help out Thor and try, and then they can go together and figure out why Thor is unworthy. And you could still did the Jane Foster's cancer thing because it would have gave her a chance to come at peace with her husband, her children, and then maybe have a little semi romance with Odin Thor himself, just to give people that closure of they finally decided to get married because she's about to die. And therefore, even though Thor misses being the god of thunder, he cherishes the time that he has with Jane Foster more. You could have did something like that, which showed like he could have been in an epic battle for Asgard. This could be towards the end of the comic book, right? And what could have happened is he's fighting off this army that's trying to destroy Asgard, right? And Jane Foster is in her final hours or whatever, and Thor promised that he'll be there for her or whatever, stuff like that. But realize that he's battling, so he's in danger or whatever. But she's trying to still hold on to him and stuff like that. What could have happened is you lead that up to where finally Thor has got back his worthiness, and the hammer finally comes to him when he finally understands the loss of somebody really important to him that's not a god but a mortal, and his love for Jane Foster overcome that stupid thing about Gore was right that Nick Fury whispered in his ear and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So that what could have happened is the hammer would have came to Thor. You would have had Thor pick up the hammer. He would have got a brand new outfit. He would have defeated the army, saved the day, rushed back over to Jane Foster literally within seconds of her life, and they share one last kiss goodbye, and then she dies. That's how you could have did something while still you could have still got rid of you could have still had Thor not be Thor, but you still had Thor girl not taking up the mantle, but kind of like the co-lead of the book. You get what I'm saying? Without insulting most people with the fact that, oh, all of a sudden the hammer is a female. The hammer Jane Foster has better control of the hammer than Thor. Come on now, stop disrespecting the damn Norse mythology with that nonsense. Don't do something like that and then expect fans to be like, yeah, this makes sense, because it doesn't make sense. That's why a lot of people, yeah, the first part of Thor run with Jane Foster did run well, but then when people felt like it, but the reason why it fell off is because people thought maybe it was going to be an arc, and that was it. A lot of people didn't know it was going to be a long running kind of thing. I think most fans thought maybe it was going to last for half a year, and then that was it. But it kept going on, because that's when the sales for the book actually did drop off. I know there are some people who do like Jane Foster, but the fact of the matter is you gave Mighty Thor, which was a title that Thor had, because remember, back in the day, Thor had three comic book runs. You had Thor, you had the Mighty Thor, and then you had Thor God of Thunder. So it's weird to even try to call Jane Mighty Thor, because she's not mighty at all. What you're trying to say, you're trying to make it where as if she was more important than Thor in its own mythology. You get how that doesn't make any sense. And as somebody who likes mythology, you're not about to sit up here and disrespect me by trying to bring in a character that had no business being in Norse mythology and be like she's better than him. It'll be weird. It'll be like if they did it with God of War, right? Where Kratos picks up the hammer of Mjolnir and he becomes Thor, and all of a sudden he has better control of Mjolnir than Thor does. No, I will have a problem with that, because I'll be like, that's weird. That's weird. That weapon is not for somebody. I mean, it was specifically made for Thor. So for Thor himself not to have as much control of it, the only person I can accept have more control is Odin's son, because Odin's son makes sense. But a regular normal human bitch, no, you don't lost your mind. You don't lost your mind. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That it just doesn't make the damn sense God gave. You could have called her anything else. You could have called her Thunderstrike. You could have called her Thunder Girl. You could have called her um you could have called her any you could matter of fact, there's probably a Scandinavian name for Jane Foster. You could have easily called her that, but you purposely called her Thor, knowing that would get certain people who are fans of Thor upset, and you knew that was going to get some kind of backlash, because that is not a damn title. That is his name. Just because the hammer said, whoever willed this hammer, may he be worthy of the power of Thor. The power of Thor, not actual Thor. Even when Aaron Masterson was Thor, he didn't even call himself Thor. He was literally called Thunderstrike. So it's weird that when a man picks up the hammer, they're called something else. But then when Jane Foster picks up the hammer, she's now called Thor. At least be a little bit more respectful to the character but the way the book was written, as if Jane Foster knew more about the Norse mythology, the Norse pantheon, the Thor herself, better than anybody else around her, even people who are from Norse mythology itself. That doesn't make any logical sense. And then another thing, even if you didn't get Thor girl, you could have got Sif. Sif was there. Why the hell did you not even think about Sif? Sif was a respectable character. You get what I'm saying, y'all? They will replace a character, but they'll skip over characters that people actually will like to see over characters that don't nobody want to see. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was harping for Jane Foster to be Thor, you know? They had pushed her out of the comic books in the late 90s anyway, and then when her and Thor tried to reconnect, she's already married, she got kids. Okay, cool. Thor moves on, right? And then when Thor and them, the Ragnarok event happened, and then Thor brought Asgard to Oklahoma. Here her ass coming. So, baby, what happened to your kids and your husband? So y'all broke up, and why as a mother you don't have custody of your son? You know what I'm saying? That is weird. But of course, when you don't care about lore, you ignore small details like that. She literally left her family because Thor returned. Literally, I was like, wait, hold on. Did Jane just leave her family for Thor? Or I understand you like the Asgardian dick, but come on now. Like, let's stop the nonsense. Let's cut the crap. You know, it's weird, and that people try to justify that kind of stuff. But again, like a lot of some comic book YouTubers and critics been saying, is that's what happens when you have people who do not care about the lore. It like, you see what I'm saying? You see how I came up with a better concept for the character that could have still worked, where you could have still had this female character, because you could have either used Sif or you could have used Thor girl themselves, and you could have easily still had Thor as Thor. The only thing about it is y'all tried to completely replace Thor, and then when people confronted Jane Foster about it, she was like, I'm the real Thor. No, baby, no, you're not the real Thor. That's the problem. If she went through an arc where she was like, where the hammer did call out to her and she became Thor, she will always be like, I'm not worthy of this and stuff like that, and not accept the title of Thor. But she kept accepting it. She kept saying, like, everybody kept praising her for it or whatever and stuff like that, when she really did not earn it. Why? First off, why was a sick cancer patient had enough energy to walk her ass to the blue side of the moon and pick up a hammer? Make the logic make sense. Make the logic make sense. And I get it. They always want to do this whole who can wield Thor thing. But the problem is they already did that 3 times before we even got to Jane Foster. So that storyline was played out. That wasn't even goddamn, that thing wasn't even a good storyline. You know? Now, him losing the ability of wielding the hammer, which, to be honest, it really didn't make any sense, because if you guys were reading the Jonathan Hickman run, Thor had a hammer from Thor where if you're unworthy, you can carry the hammer. Him and Hyperion were fighting the Annihilators all the way up into their deaths, and that hammer fell because it showed that he was worthy. So for him to die and then the multiverse gets started over again, for us to go right back to him being unworthy, was such a disrespect to the entire storyline right there. I was just like, for God's sakes, for God's sakes. Then they had the nerve, they had the nerve to actually do a unworthy Thor title, which I brought the book. Because I really thought that Thor was going to be able to lift the ultimate hammer, where like he got his worthiness back, but because Jane Foster is Thor, he was going to grab the ultimate hammer. And then we finally get there, and then he decides not to. So again, 2 times you wasted all that character development for Thor just for him to be like, no, I shouldn't use this hammer. No, you need to use the hammer, because right now we're bored of your ass not not having powers. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Let's go. you know, I'm sorry for ranting about it, but it is kind of one of those aggravating things where it's just kind of like, did y'all readers even did not the readers, but did the writers really sit down and think about the continuity, think about the character wise, think about Norse mythology itself? Yes, Norse mythology is an open thing. You can definitely do some things with Norse mythology because it is public domain, but to disrespect Thor like that when you ignored Sif, you ignored his children that he doesn't even have in the main continuity. So if you really wanted to get rid of Thor or destroy him, you could have at least been like, you could have got one of his children to replace him. I'm just being honest. But you never even gave him no children. That's the thing, you know. You didn't give him no children. It'll be different. Like maybe if Jane Foster and Thor had a child together, yeah, it it could have been great. It could have been great. Like maybe if Jane Foster ended up pregnant with Thor's child, and you created this half Norse, I mean, half Asgardian, half human character. Then when the time of worthiness, lost for Thor, then at least the child would have been able to pick up the hammer. You know what I'm saying? Because it would have made sense, because that child is a product of Jane Foster and Thor. So then you could have accepted that. We could have accepted that more because that was a child of Thor. You get what I'm saying? But y'all haven't even, we only teased at the hint of Thor's children, and only in future titles. And for some reason, the future titles of Thor, where he's in the future, they're terrible. Everything is always destroyed all the fucking damn time. Like, damn, y'all can't do nothing. Jesus. like just make it make sense. Make it make sense. It doesn't make the sense God gave. It really doesn't. It really does. Damn it, Anthony. You over here said what I just said. I just saw the damn comment. So how in the actual hell a cancer patient, I don't understand how a cancer patient who is going through chemotherapy is able to pick up the hammer. Yeah, say it with me. Make it make sense. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Honestly, the cancer aspect made Jane Foster's Thor, which was one of the reasons I was upset Thor 4, because it really undermined the cancer aspect. I mean, if you really think about it, after a while, the cancer thing wasn't even interesting anymore because they drew it out. The cancer, especially if it's not treated quickly, that stuff spreads. They had almost 3 to 4 years of Jane Foster as Thor. Logically, it don't make no sense, because every time she pick up the hammer, chemotherapy is toxed it out of her body, right? Then she refused to use Asgardian magic to remove the cancer cells from her body. Okay, cool, great. So she should have been on a time limit, which means that run shouldn't have been that long because of terminal cancer. Again, science. Everybody knows how cancer works. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that this doesn't make logical sense. And then there were times where she wasn't by the hammer and she transformed into Jane Foster. Again, a cancer patient that is going through stage 2 to 3. She was either in stage 2 or stage 3 of cancer. Again, she is brittle. She is fragile. Anything can take her out. And y'all just was like, sure, whatever. No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, because the cancer would have got more aggressive every time she didn't stay as Thor. So it made no logical sense, even with the comic book standard. If you're going to do something about cancer and you're not doing anything magical with it or scientific with it, there are rules and regulations with cancer that you just cannot ignore. Oh, Lord have mercy, y'all. Jesus Christ, Marvel gives me a headache. You know? Like, Jesus. Yes, we already had a cancer story, and its name is Death of Captain Marvel. Exactly. And when Captain Marvel's cancer was aggressive, it was aggressive. And it's just like they completely forgot about that with Jane Foster, and he had superpowers. He had superpowers, but yet the cancer was taking him out that quick. But for some reason, Jane Foster had almost about a 5-year run on Thor. Man, get the hell out of here with that shit. It just doesn't make the sense God gave. It really doesn't. And that's the problem. That is the problem. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that people can't like the Jane Foster run. What I'm saying is realistically, we just can't have this character being that long of a Thor, or the fact that she disrespected Jane Foster's Thor. The fact that Jane Foster was Thor, people were telling her that she was Thor, that when people confronted her about it, I am Thor and stuff like that. I am the true Thor. And then the Hammer looked at her as the true wielder of Mjolnir, that she was able to do things with the hammer that Thor wasn't able to do. No, you went too far. You went too far. You went too far. That's all I got to say. Yes, Jane Foster's Thor should have had a beginning and an end, and really Marvel should have been doing mild takes on Jane ever since she lost the hammer. Yeah, they should have. And what should have happened is it should have been an event like Darcy said, is like the death of Captain Marvel. You literally should have did, like, maybe I would say, since we want to do a 6-month run of Jane Foster's Thor, what would have happened is we would have did 6 months of that storyline. We would have got to the end, and then we would have wrapped it up in the death of Jane Foster. That would have ended Jane Foster, and Jane Foster would have never came back at all. The end, there would have been no Valkyrie, there would have been nothing. She would have stayed dead, because you defeated the purpose of her being Thor. Once Jane Foster came back alive and she became Valkyrie, you defeated the purpose of that entire Thor run, because going back and reading the Thor run and seeing where she's at now undermines the Thor run of her being Thor. It makes absolutely no sense, and it's such a disrespect to the character, honestly. That's what I'm saying. She should have died, and that was it of Jane Foster. That was it of Jane Foster. But no, they didn't do that at all. Same thing with Gwen Stacy. Yeah, exactly. And if you want to, like I said, death of Captain Marvel, death of Gwen Stacy, you should have milked it, and you could have did a death of Jane Foster and kill her ass off permanently. Sometimes there are characters who just need to be killed off permanently, because what would have happened is, now that Jane Foster is dead, Thor would finally be able to move on with Sif, because there's always a love triangle between Thor, Jane Foster, Sif, and then Amora, the Enchantress, bring her little feisty ass here. Even though Thor was like, I don't want you. I don't want you. I don't want you. But it's just the most weirdest thing, honestly. I think cosplayers and stands are partially influenced why they chose those characters to exist. Yeah, of course. I mean, like yesterday, I saw a whole bunch of cosplayers. They were at the premiere of Thor: Love and Thunder, and a lot of them was dressed up as Thor, Valkyrie, and Jane Foster and stuff like that. And oh my god, they were like, "Oh my god, we love these characters. We love these characters." No, bitch, you don't love these characters. A lot of y'all don't even read the books. Name what? I haven't really seen a cosplayer promote any comic books. They will dress as the character all day long, but they can't tell you Ada Apple. Oh, I like the way how she's this, or I like the way this character is that. No, you don't, because you don't even know anything about the character. You don't know the history that she's went through. You don't know why comic book fans don't like the character or was annoyed that she became Thor. Because you didn't read the thing. No, you want to be like, oh, it's because fans are being sexist and trollish. No, fans aren't being sexist. Fans aren't being trollish. They just don't like the character arc that you're giving her, because of a lot of things that she's done in her comic book history just doesn't add up to it. Don't get me started with Gwen Stacy. She never stays dead. Well, you know what? She is dead, though, Cryptic. She's dead. It's just her clones they clone her ass every damn week. Her children, her alternate reality selves, they just keep coming into the main continuity. They just keep coming into the main continuity. And I'm like, oh my God. Hold on, sorry. Oh, okay. Let me see what. Let me try to scroll up and see what all you guys are saying, because a lot of y'all came in with some stuff. Let me see. Well, Thor 4 exists. There's not so many good things to say about Thor 4. Hey, Anthony, Beta Ray Bill is more worthy than Jane Foster. The fact that we skipped over so many important Thor characters and jumped to the all new, all different run of Thor is disrespectful, honestly. Hello, Trey. Love seeing more in my notifications. Yes, Sam Adams. I love being in people's notifications. Let's go. How was my 4th of July? It was pretty chill. It was pretty cool and relaxed. I went down to the city that I'm in the town square, and watched the fireworks. Oh, and then I went to Shane's rib shack for barbecue. Oh, and then I went to this ice cream place. I forgot the name of the darn ice cream place. They sell like snow cones and stuff like that. And I got this peach one. Oh, it was so huge. I fucked that thing up, y'all. Oh, I fucked that snow cone up. That thing was good. Oh, and I ended the night with ice cream from Brewster's. Yeah, Jane got the hammer at the time when the hammer itself becoming a real dick. It wasn't until Donny Cates came in and finally gave Milner a whooping. Trey McHale is a mantle. It's a mantle. Yes, Trey McHale is a mantle. Oh my lord. Hey, McLovin. Milner broke because the writers and editors are hacked. That's true. Exactly. Like calling A-Bomb Hulk instead of calling A-Bomb A-Bomb. Yeah, right. Exactly. I am Trey McHale now. I'm Trey McHale the second. God damn. Anyone can be Trey McHale. Jesus Christ. It's a mantle. It's a mantle. Yes, Jane Foster should have died once her hammer wielding days were done. Yeah, they definitely should have. Definitely should have. Now they're working on Captain America 4. You know, Ronan, I don't care. I don't care. Like I'm glad Anthony Mackie is getting some work, but I don't care. I honestly do not care. I haven't got a Captain America movie since Captain America Winter Soldier. I don't care what none of y'all say. Civil War was not a Captain America movie. That was Avengers. That was literally Avengers 3.5. Like, get out of here with that. I haven't got a Captain America movie. I haven't got a Captain America movie since Captain America Winter Soldier, sadly, and I'm still not gonna get one. I'm Trey McHale the third. I'm Trey McHale the third, and I'm Dylan the second. Jesus, there can only be one Trey McHale the third. This is Sparta. Y'all are killing me in the comments. The same thing with Lucifer being a woman instead of a man. Yeah, Anthony, and they try to use that whole non-gender, non-conformity nonsense as a reason why, and it's just like, no, Lucifer is literally described as a man, and we've seen what he is. You had a whole show called Lucifer, for God's sakes. We've seen what Lucifer Morningstar looks like. Like, even in the book, he is described like they literally describe what Lucifer looks like. Okay. Sounds much better than what Marvel did. Thank you, Henry. Sub RPJ, you're right. There can only be one. Happy Friday to everyone. Never could stand Jane Foster. Trey McHale, have you watched a trailer? The Woman King is titled was cringe. I did. I did, and Fennec Ice Wolf, he was pissed. He was telling me, he was like, "What is this?" He was like, "Why would they make a movie about one of the most horrible things that happened in Africa's history?" I was like, "Because Hollywood loved black tragedy." gender gender bent Trey McHale is Tracy McHale. Oh my god. That's a good one though. That's a good one, Sam. I like that one though. That's a good one. This movie disrespected Sylph, man. Dang, they disrespected Sylph? Oh man, that sucks. I mean, I don't care if y'all spoil it for me because I'm not gonna go watch it anyway. They disrespected the fuck out of Sylph. And also, where was Beta Ray Bill? It's literally 4 movies now. He don't exist. I done told y'all he don't exist. The movie disrespected Gore. From what I heard, McLovin, they said that's the only thing that was the best part of the movie was Christian Bale's performance as Gore. Humility, basic humility. Yeah, King Valkyrie. Let's see. Hi, I'm here. What are we talking about? We're talking about Thor faith. We're talking about Thor faith. Exactly. When you go through chemotherapy, your body gets weak, like extremely weak. Gore in the movie and Gore in the comics, or like comparing apples to oranges, is laughable. Yeah, and you know, so funny, McLovin. A lot of the MCU stands and fans would be like, "Oh my god, I like this version better than the comic book version." Anyway, you never even read the comic book version. What are you talking about, stupid? Free Fire Comic says, "Nah, I love your rants, Trey. It's one of the reasons why I watch you." Well, thank you. Oh, by the way, we're going to continue to talk about this store, but I'm a side tangent right quick while it's on my mind. Did any of you guys hear about the fallout between Ethan Van Sciver and your boy Zach? Like, because I saw some people on YouTube talking about it, but I didn't really watch anything. But I'm just saying, if anybody knows about it or whatever, just like let me know. I just saw some people talking about there's a fallout between Ethan Van Sciver and your boy Zach. So I don't know. So how the actual hell a cancer patient who's going through chemotherapy is able? Yep. Oh, I already read that one. Hello, how's it going? Gore the Great for the first 10 minutes, and after that, he was told he told creepy jokes and became a mustache twirling villain. You know what I also heard cryptic is that they replaced the last child that Gore lost with his daughter. Like it was just kind of like everybody knows that Gore lost his daughters early on, and his wife, who was pregnant with the child, died. And then the last child that he had was a little boy, and that one was the last one that died. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. So it's kind of weird that they changed it for, oh, his daughter. And it's just like, no, can you stop doing that? You guys always do that. Let a father actually feel grief for his son instead of his daughter. That's like one of the most easiest things to get to people is a father who is emotional about his daughter. We get that, but let a father be emotional over his son. The reason why Gore was upset was because he lost his last child, which was a little boy. But okay. I don't understand the appeal for Natalie Portman. For me, I don't find her physically attractive. I mean, it's money. Money is the reason why she even came back. And that's another thing too. Everybody wants to just forget like how Natalie Portman bashed the MCU and was like, "It's boring. I don't like it, and I'm not returning for any of the next Thor movies." That's why she was mysteriously absent for the Avengers movies and for Thor movies. You know what I'm saying? So it's weird that she comes back for the 4th movie after she done said what she said. Now she's coming back. Like it's weird. It's weird. And yet the fans want to try to justify that kind of stuff. Okay. Yo, you should really trademark these catchphrases and put them on some possible merch. You know, that sounds like a good idea. If I did, would you guys buy some of them? Because I mean, if it's something you guys really want, I will definitely get to work on that. Because if it's something that you guys want, I will definitely work on that, and I will definitely get some stuff ready for you guys. Just let me know. Let's see. Let me continue. Let me see. Well, who are these characters made for? Fangirls or fake geek girls? Fake geek girl, Sam. That's definitely your answer. Gwen Stacy is coming back in the event for X-Men versus the Eternals event. Yeah, I saw that, Cryptic. And then like now of course it's Peter Parker. Peter's feeling guilty for the death of Gwen Stacy again. I'm like, here we go again. Even though this bitch cheated on you with Green Goblin. Okay. And heck, isn't that Gwenverse comic still a thing? Yeah, Cryptic. Yeah, I think they're almost finishing wrapping up Gwenverse. That's just stupid. Actually, I would rather not see any more Thor characters come in because Taika Waititi, definitely. But you know, another thing, Cryptic, that I also want to talk about too with the Thor thing is that I was telling people, you know how you guys say that Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder, because people want to say, oh my God, these are amazing movies, right? And I was like, well, okay, then if those are amazing movies, that means Batman Forever and Batman and Robin are stellar DC movies as well, because Thor 1 and 2 did the same thing that Batman and Batman Returns did. They were dark. They were more serious takes on the character. Fans didn't really like the Thor movies, and parents didn't really like the Batman stuff. So Batman Forever came up. So Thor Ragnarok came up. Right? Okay, great. Because Thor Ragnarok was successful and because Batman Forever was so successful, here come Batman and Robin, right? And here comes Thor Love and Thunder. And it's kind of funny because people were like, oh my God, Thor Love and Thunder is one of the best Thor movies ever, or it's one of the best Marvel movies of all time. Okay, great. If that's the case, then people will have to admit that Batman and Robin